boop.
Beep, boop. What did we think of the first section? Wait, did we all finish?
Yes. I did.
Yes.
Cool. Who's listening to it?
I am.
listening to it. Julie, is yours also really weird? Like in the chapters, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
at
it
all.
doesn't give the chapters. So I asked Karina to send me a picture of
Of the
the
last line.
Yeah,
last page and the next page so I'd know. But actually, I think it ended. It
Right
did
at
have
chapter
end
2.
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the second portion because I read half of it, and then the second I was listening to it, and the chapters were weird. It doesn't even say like 1 through 10, and it doesn't even say like 18, 19, 20, and any of it. And I was like, what is this?
Oh, really?
Yeah, same. Yeah, it doesn't make any
Mhm.
sense. I found a PDF though online though, and I was just kind of referencing like a PDF of the whole book.
Yeah.
And I was like
found that
referencing
too.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
I
looking
was
at that
listening
too.
to, I made sure I read the next line of the chapter, and if I heard that, I was like, okay, I went too far. But
Yeah.
that sucks, because like I get into it, and then I was like, wait, what was the line? It was horrible. But I
Yeah,
feel
so
like
I know.
weird.
not much happened though. Let me see.
Yeah, but I feel like there's so
No.
much we can speculate about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Very
I'm
true.
gonna zip my lips now.
What do you think of the main character, the author, Kim? Do you think he's an ass or?
I think he's crazy. I think he's also like out of his mind. He keeps saying Annie is, but I think something's up with him too. Like something with his parents. We barely got a glimpse of it, but I think he was saying, I have to go back. Something about the mom. I don't remember. I think that was the part I was listening to.
Oh, where it said he had an overactive imagination, but he didn't get it from their side of the family or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got this vibe that the parents were very supportive or they weren't that great. So that's why I don't think he's in the right state of mind either.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, is he even in her house? Or is he just
Oh, I
all
didn't think about that.
delusional?
Oh shit.
He's probably in her house, but I don't know.
Do we think so? We know that he has this whole injury with his legs, right? Did that happen as an accident, or do we think it's Annie did something?
I feel it's
Some
as
kind
a
of-
result of the accident.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But she should have taken him to the hospital to get surgery.
yeah.
So I think it's more, just she instead of taking him to get proper treatment, she's just like drugging him,
Uh-huh.
letting his body heal itself, I guess.
I mean, if his legs are shattered, it's not much you can do
Yeah.
without surgery.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna end up losing his legs. Like if it's just taking medication, they're eventually gonna get an infection, or they're just gonna turn like super blue and purple. It's gonna have to like chop them off.
Is it morbid of me? I want to see I want to know exactly what they look like. Like, are their bones sticking out? Like, what's happening down there?
I mean, she did say that they're gonna go into the sides, right? Like,
Yeah.
but they're not going straight. Oh, they should be.
He said
Because
like
if he's-
below the knee it's totally like pulverized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
how
so
long
what does that
would you
look
be in
like?
pain for that? Like, when you break a bone and get a cast, it doesn't hurt forever, right? I've never
Right.
broken a bone.
But that's like when you get a cast, it's like in a good placement, so it's visible.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. His
How long has it been?
It's been a few weeks that he's been there. I think.
Unclear.
Okay,
Yeah.
probably at least 3 months. 2 to 3.
I think he was in a coma for 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm. And then he was counting hours, right?
It was like 51 hours. So
Yeah.
she would
So
have-
when she was gone. That was really gross when he drank his own pee.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also smart, like to pee through the bed sheets. It was semi kind of filtered. Would you guys have done that to save yourselves?
I guess I might. I don't know. You never know.
It's easier for a man to do that also.
Yeah, we wouldn't, I don't think we would have fared as well as a man.
I was wondering if Annie has some sort of mental illness too, because she seems really unstable. Like she's having mood swings, and in some ways she seems kind of like innocent or childlike, because like she was saying that when they burnt the book, that she didn't even begin to imagine that there might be another copy. So I think like she's like smart in one way, but then she doesn't like think of different possibilities in another way.
Yeah, I was thinking about what mental illness she might have had. Either bipolar, because she has mood swings, some type of obsessive disorder.
Yeah.
'Cause she's the #1 fan.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering
What do
too.
you,
Oh, go ahead, Julie.
like, what do you think happened? Like, why she's not a nurse anymore? Like, what did she do?
That's what I was gonna say.
When he was like on a trial on court, something about Denver, and then I think she was gonna say that she stopped being a nurse because of something, and then she just kind of cut it off. So I wonder how bad it was for her to just not do it.
Yeah, that part I'm super curious about, because I don't know if it's really real by Crystal, or if Paul is imagining that in his mind to like figure out why she has so much medication and why she seems to have experience, but she's at the house most of the time, I think, so she doesn't seem to be working. Especially back then, there wasn't work from home just because there wasn't that technology yet.
I'm not sure if they said like she is a nurse. Like they didn't say like her exact title, but I was thinking of nurse. I'm sure we'll find out. I'm curious.
Yeah, I didn't. And
I
where are
wouldn't-
you getting the drugs from?
Yeah.
Good question.
Because you can't just like keep getting a supply. If she runs out, like where's your source?
Especially like narcotics, aren't those more like locked up and stuff than other less serious
Yeah.
medicines?
Yeah.
They have all these rules, and who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Just-
Although it's the 80s, so maybe there weren't as many rules.
That's true.
That's true.
I think it's
I'd be like name dropping him a lot. Like, did she name drop him to get the typewriter? I was confused.
If she did, she's dumb because she's keeping him captive.
It's true. Maybe she just said. Like, she's saying something like her favorite author has an N in his name or something.
That's also
oh
like,
yeah.
crazy how like super into a book she is. I don't know. I just feel like I like books, but I don't think I'd be like that obsessed about one or like a specific character in a book where she's like, you must give me this, like, write this book for me. I don't know. It's insane.
It's too dramatic.
Yeah, like a little. Like I know people are into certain like things, like let's say Harry Potter and stuff like that, but like not like that. I don't know.
I don't know. Fans do crazy stuff online. They really do.
That's
I
also
like this
very
is
true.
taken to like an extreme,
Mhm.
but like fan communities could go real crazy online, especially now, like with social media.
Yeah.
Like, like I don't know, like I'm thinking of like I don't know, like people that like follow like Nicki Minaj that go and like hate on Beyonce fans or something like that, or like go and harass them. So people can go pretty crazy,
That's also
especially with social media like taking away the veil of like who they are.
Mhm.
I feel like Stephen King is like commenting on maybe extreme fans of his
I was wondering that too.
because the main character is an author, and I mean
Mhm.
like a successful author. So
Yeah, I saw that it said like not based on real like characters or whatever, but I was like, what if something like this almost happened or something small happened and it inspired him to write this book where things got really extreme?
mhm.
I can see that.
Judith,
He doesn't even think it's that weird that she's like, obsessed. And, like I think he's like, oh yeah, you're my number one fan. Like I have all these number one fans.
yeah, I think he has a big ego.
Yeah, that too.
He did say like, oh, my bestsellers and my what was the other one? Like he named something like a bestseller and the other one was like still good, just not a bestseller or something like that.
Mhm.
Like an award or something. I don't know, I don't remember. But yeah, I can see him being super into himself and just being like, I'm great, I'm amazing. Yeah, of course you're my number one fan, like everyone else.
Yeah. But he seems surprised because he'll like try to tell her stuff about how he writes, and she like doesn't care.
Mhm.
He's like saying she's simple or whatever.
Judith, you made me think of something when you were saying that maybe he didn't have the best relationship with his parents. I didn't connect this until I was looking at my notes again, but he kept saying that Annie's looking at him with like love and disapproval at the same time. And then I think at least twice he said it's like a maternal look. So I was like, oh, wait, maybe that made me think of what you said. And I said, maybe that's what he does recognize as maternal. But I think it's weird that he kind of sees her like this evil mom character as well. Like something's really twisted about that.
Yeah. I also want to know more about his divorces, because there's two. I was like, oh, interesting. What happened? Where are they now?
I was trying to figure out if he had a son because
Oh.
he mentioned someone named Bryce, and I feel like if he had two marriages,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he has a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But he said something when he was like in his waves of pain, thinking about his two ex-wives and Bryce. I wonder who Bryce is. I don't remember what page that was on.
I don't remember that. Maybe it was early.
But he seems like kind of an irresponsible person. Like, one, not making copies of his manuscript.
Yes.
And he was drinking that night, so he thinks that he got in some type of accident, but maybe it was Annie running him off the road.
Oh, I didn't even think of
But
that.
he just doesn't seem very responsible.
Why was she over there? Did we get that story?
She told
Yeah.
her version of it. She said that she was like, didn't she say like she was walking back and found him? Right? I don't know. That was like when it was like interspersing between him also talking about his, right? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's an interesting way that Stephen King like wrote that, because I'm like, you're focusing on one thing. I was very confused in the beginning. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Where are we? Who's talking? What? I don't know. And I get it, and I feel like it makes sense in a movie, but in a book, I'm just like, what?
I had to read that part again too, a few of those.
I should
I'm
have
like,
done that. I didn't.
wait.
I just kept going, and yeah, I'm confused. Because I thought she said she had gone to some sort of store or something for the animals, and then I guess on her way back, she saw some car.
I think that's what she said. I
Right?
think, and and then she realized who he was.
Mm-hmm. Like after she was looking through like the ID, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, no way!" And then she took him.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if if it truly was a coincidence, or if she was kind of stalking or following him from before, since she is that obsessed, it seems. I also wonder if she purposefully hooked him on the drugs, or if she was truly in that moment trying to help with his pain or whatever. But I think she did it on purpose because of how she's using it, like as a little carrot for him now.
Yeah.
I'm also curious about the animal imagery too, because like I feel like they spent a small amount of time talking about like the animals outside, and then sometimes he describes Annie as like the cow or the pig, which is mean, but then he also describes himself as like this fabulous bird from Africa. That's why I started thinking he was conceited. And I know like in The Shining, I feel like the animals came up a lot too, so I'm wondering if that's going to be the same in this book.
I'm curious. He keeps mentioning Africa, and I kind of feel like it's out of left field to me. Like,
I think there was a part when he was a kid, he went to the zoo with his mom, and there was like this really pretty bird from Africa that seemed trapped. And so he asked his mom, and I guess the bird was from Africa. And so I feel he's comparing himself to the trapped bird in the cage at the zoo, who is really far away from its home because the home was in Africa. And I forget where he's from, right? But he's expecting people to look for him possibly in New York, and he's in Colorado. So I think it's just a metaphor, the bird in him.
God, yeah, like how are they gonna find him? Like, why would they think he's at her house?
Yep.
Like they don't even know. Well, I guess he's missing.
Because his car's covered in snow. That part was wild when he was counting out the weeks, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a long time. I don't know.
Because like maybe now there'd be like a way to find his car, like a tracker or something. I don't know. They have those like GPS things in your car. But in 1987, good luck.
Yeah. But like wouldn't someone be looking for him?
I feel like someone would. Well, there was the whole thing where he was talking about the cop. Was that in his head? That's my question. Where he was like the cop talking to Annie in the other room. Like, was that happening or not? I couldn't
I think
tell.
that's part of why it's a little confusing, because I think that's kind of an allusion to how he says his mom is always saying that he had an overactive imagination. I think because he is trapped in the room and he has very little information and stimulation, his mind is just going like double time to figure out like, oh, this is one way this could happen, or what if this happened, what if that happened, so he can try to figure things out and hopefully like rescue himself or get more information. And I think because he's a writer, he's really good at just thinking about different possibilities. So he imagined that, and sometimes it's like written in such a way that it does seem like it's real. That's what was confusing to me too, because I had to go back and read that part as well. I'm like, wait, is this truly happening, or is he just thinking this in his brain because he's by himself in his room?
Because I think he doesn't even think they're gonna start looking for him until they find his car and realize it was in an accident. So I guess they'll just be like, oh, he's traveling, or he just disappears and writes for long periods of time. So no one would go looking for him until they find the car. So
That still seems pretty odd, though. Like that, no one would think that he was missing? Like maybe this guy really goes off on his own a lot.
Oh, I think that part was because he was finishing up the other book, though, right? So sometimes writers go like on sabbaticals, or they'll lock themselves in a cabin for 2 weeks at a time to focus on their writing. And since he doesn't really have much of a family, I think that's what happened.
So his agent's got to be like, where are you? His publisher.
That's the one person I was like, it can't be the wives because he said he's divorced.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, it doesn't seem like he's mentioning other friends or someone who's like, oh, he really cares about or something. But then I was like, okay, he was writing this book. So I think the next person would be his agents, like those people. But will they really? Like maybe they're just like, when the due date is coming up or something. When is the due date though? Do they have one?
Yeah.
Who knows? So I feel like he's kind of on his own. And I don't think people are going to search for him for a long time.
Yeah.
And why would they look at Annie's house? It's like so random.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not her.
Mm-mm.
I feel like
Especially if they didn't know that he was writing in Colorado.
Yep.
has anyone here seen the movie 127 Hours from the beginning? Like,
No, but I know the
I know.
gist of what happened.
well, there's just this small scene that it's making me think of in the beginning, and I think it's reminding me of Paul's kind of like conceitedness. I feel like his arrogance is going to be part of his downfall in this book. And the small bit that I'm remembering is that this guy in 127 Hours, he goes on a hike, and in the movie, like he has a map, and then the more that I've been traveling and hiking and stuff, like I see that, advice, like leave a copy of your trail with someone that knows where you're going. That way, if you get lost, like someone can know to look for you.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie, the guy doesn't do it. He just like doesn't let anyone know where he's going, and then he gets stuck, right? And then he's in that terrible situation. And I feel like Paul kind of did the same thing and I think he is conceited because he only had, or arrogant, he believes nothing bad will happen to him because he only had one copy of the manuscript, where I think any reasonable person will have at least two. And he believes nothing bad will happen to him. So he might not have told his publishers or peeps where he was going. But then now he finds himself in like this really awful situation because maybe he didn't tell someone where he was going, and now his book is burned because he believed nothing bad would happen to it or him. I think it's a little bit of his like ego or arrogance that he was kind of like untouchable because he was becoming good as a writer. So I feel like now that's all just flip-flopped.
It also seems the cover of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the house. It looks very empty. It doesn't seem like there's anything around there. So even if he screams or tries to do something, I feel like he's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said the closest neighbor was miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she locked him in the room when she left, even though he
Yeah.
was really unable to get out of bed.
Yep. That part's very much like The Shining, actually.
So locking
Yeah.
in the room? Or which part?
The isolation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I wonder what else is going to happen.
I feel like something has to happen. They can't just keep going on like that.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, can the whole book just be them in the house?
It might be.
That's, I don't know how I feel about it. Go ahead.
I wrote down the quote where it says he liked the look of frightened Annie, and that makes me feel like that's going to happen in the future. Because he was like, oh, I don't like how Annie looks or something, but I love how she looks when she's frightened. And I'm like, oh, maybe he'll figure something out,
Yeah, that's creepy.
But I feel like he'll have to heal somewhat in order to have any capacity because she's really big and strong too, so she could probably snap him in two. So I wonder if he's going to be there till the spring, and in that case, that would take probably a good chunk of the novel.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He probably like has access to weapons, like like axes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like something has to happen with that because there's one on the cover of this book. So
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to be able to blackmail him, like whenever he comes back into society, he's not going to be able to tell anyone that she abused him. It'll be more like, oh, I let her take care of me.
Mm.
Because she did say, when he was asking about if I like burn my book, will I be able to like go free? And she said, oh, you mean when you can see people again?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Just a thought.
I wrote down that she loves Paul, and she loves Misery, but she loves Misery more. So I wonder if she does get the novel with the finish that she wants, maybe she won't really care about him anymore. Maybe she'll leave him to die, or maybe she'll just let him loose and be like, okay, like I'm happy, that's it.
I feel like she'll want more.
I was just gonna say that, like, oh, you get your one copy, but you're like, okay, continue. And
Never
we're
gonna get out.
that's kind of, ooh, sad.
Yeah.
It's just his, oof. I don't know how I feel about the book yet. I'm still kind of.
I feel like it's gonna have a slow start, like The Shining. Remember we talked about that in that one, and then like when it started getting like to the halfway point, things got like a lot more intense.
Mm-hmm. I was telling Crystal, because I saw her today, that when I started reading this book, like I read the same authors, but it's like back to back, and then I can see their style. But I've never really read one book and then I go back to another, like months, a whole year later actually, and then I can see the style and be like, whoa, this is how he writes. And that's how I felt about this. I'm like, oh, I can see a lot of like the same Shining, obviously not the same story, but it was kind of cool to be like, oh, I'm into Stephen King's thing.
Yeah.
His whole style. It was kind of cool. But I guess that makes sense, because I think for The Shining it was kind of like, nah.
There was a lot of build up with the setting and like this is what that hotel looks like and all this stuff.
I do remember being kind of like, okay, too much info.
I think this is my third book by King this year, but the ones that I read were newer, so except for Carrie, but that one is just like more, it has like more fantastical things going on, so I feel like so far this one's more similar to The Shining than any of the other ones.
I started reading 11, what is it, like 11 something 63, the one about like where he goes back in time to try to stop JFK from being assassinated. But I never
the one
finished
that's on
it.
Netflix.
That they made a Netflix, or not Netflix, Hulu. They made a Hulu series.
Oh.
But I never finished it. It's so long. Like I think I got through like maybe 2/3 of it, and then I just never finished it. But something that I noticed with this and that was that it's like a lot of it is very visceral, like when he's describing like the scenes of Annie putting like the pills in his mouth, and it's just like you literally like you're just like ugh, because you like the descriptions like gross you out.
Yeah.
Like her
So he's really
smell.
good at that.
He was like, ugh, her smell.
Yeah, I was like,
Smells like
vanilla. Yeah.
I did feel bad for him when he had to burn his book and when he had to drink the dishwater. I'm like, oh, or the soapy, like gross water. I'm like, that's nasty.
That was nasty.
I felt like I was there, and I was the one being forced, and I'm like, wow. I can smell it. Oh, it was disgusting. Ugh.
I think he's gonna snap and like get payback on her.
I think he's gonna figure something out.
Yeah.
He
Well,
seems
he
really
says he's
smart.
gonna kill her.
But it would have to be so carefully planned, because if she figures it out or if she has a chance to fight back, like she's so much stronger than him. So I wonder if that does happen, how he will do it. Because I mean that axe is on the front cover of my book, but I feel like to get a good swing on an axe, you have to like be able to stand up and like to like that from his angle in the bed. He's very much helpless. So I'm really curious to see. I think he's gonna have to get to know her more and see like her weaknesses, and I think it's gonna be more a mental game than anything.
I can see that. I started listening right when I think she freaked out because she was finishing the newest book with Misery, And I mean, the audiobook did a really good job where she was like screaming. And I was like, oh my God, like you're literally acting it. It was on point. But at that moment, I didn't realize she was reading or finished the book. So I thought he had somehow drugged her and she was like about to die. And I was like, oh my goodness. But it obviously that wasn't it. So I agree with you that I think he's gonna have to get more strength because she's not tiny. She seems to have way more strength because she is bigger. And sorry. And yeah, so I don't think that's probably gonna be like the third part of the book. And I have a feeling we're not gonna get anything out of the house. I think it's all gonna be in the house and someone's gonna die before anybody can leave. Like actually leave and be like, oh, be gone. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very curious. Also, small note, but when he's writing, he describes using like a Flair pen, and I was like, oh, those are the kinds of pens I like to use to grade my papers, so it made me laugh.
I like how he's all like, I hate this paper, it smudges.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was interesting considering like his life is on the line, but he's being nitpicky about the paper.
He's a little bad, that's why.
Yeah, a little bit of.
I feel he's very disdainful too in some of the things like he thinks or does. I mean, I know Annie's like putting him in this bad position, but before he started to figure things out, like I feel like he's really mean in his description of her, and then he doesn't even think the Misery books are all that great, and that's like the book he has had more success with. So I feel like he thinks that those fans are not really as good as fans of anything else that he writes, if that makes sense. But it's just very ironic because they're the ones probably that have given him more money in terms of revenue and selling his book. So that's just weird.
He doesn't.
Yeah, I almost don't have sympathy for him. Like you know how they try to like make you root for the main character? Right now I don't, besides like how awful the situation is for him, I don't like.
He's not likable.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if he dies, you'll be like, meh, okay, fine. Like, oh shoot.
I wonder if they'll both die. Maybe he'll do the matches like he burned his book. I'm gonna burn the house. That'd be very ironic too.
Yeah, I wonder if she would be like, would she be upset if he dies or no? Or when he writes the book, then will she be okay with it?
I think if she gets the book, she might be okay with it.
I don't think so. But I won't say anything else.
Oh.
I feel like she's gonna make him like change the book. Like she's just not gonna be happy with it. She'll be like, edit it, change it.
That will be sad for him. How annoying. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like this could go a lot of ways.
Also, you've guys heard of the word simp before, right?
Yes.
Like when you simp for something. And I've heard the word simpered before, but I just made the connection that maybe they got the word simp from simpered. Or am I crazy?
Let me look it up.
Wait, what does simp mean?
Like a simp is what like you're like you like you have a major crush on someone, like you'll do anything for, not anything for them, but like you like them, or like I don't know if anyone has a better explanation of what a simp is. Like I'm a simp for Daniel Radcliffe or something like that, or Harry Styles.
Yes, Harry Styles.
Is it like acting foolish or silly for something that you like a lot or you have a crush on somebody?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
On Google, it says it's an abbreviation for simpleton, which is very interesting.
Wasn't a simpleton like an idiot?
Yes.
I think I'm looking it up online, and I think it's very interesting that it's specifically for men who are seen as too attentive or submissive to women, especially out of a failed hope of winning some entitled sexual attention or activity from them. So
We
it's
love that.
specifically used for like men that are seemingly too submissive or something. I don't know.
Well, he has to be very submissive here. I wonder if he'll fake like liking her to make friends with her, and then that's when he'll find a weakness, you know? Because I noticed like towards the last piece of what we were reading, it seems like he's you know, for example, the turning of the typewriter, he's like, oh, it's my superstition, it's my custom, you know, but he's not really saying the truth because he's just like saying what she wants to hear so he can get what he wants.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
And she must be very lonely too, so maybe she will like the attention if he decides to like sweet talk her or something, even though that would be kind of twisted as well.
Oh God, yeah, I didn't even think about that. What if they were like intimate? That would be gross.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
God.
The trauma. Hopefully we don't have to read that.
I feel like they won't. I feel like she has like a more of a mother because they keep talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe she's too like uptight to want to do that because she seems to not want to swear and not want to.
Oh yeah, she's kind
Like,
of.
I think she seems very reserved, and but like it also like because of that maybe that's why she comes out in like in these bursts of craziness because maybe she's repressing a lot of things. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I also am wondering how Annie ended up like living by herself, because I feel like I'm very interested to know more of her background story to see how she became like how she is, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We haven't gotten much about her, right?
Mm-mm.
It's mostly just him in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Other than she was on the stand.
Do we think she's in the stand because of the whole nursing stuff?
I think she probably let someone die or did something wrong. Yeah, and had to be in court. But if she doesn't work, how does she get money to like live, you know? So I wonder if maybe something happened against her. Maybe she accepted a settlement or something, and that's how she can afford to just live and take care of the critters. Could be the opposite. Or maybe her parents died and she has an inheritance or something. I don't know.
If this was set in modern day, she could have created a fan club online and made money off of that.
There you go. She could write fan fiction.
Oh my God, her fan fiction would have been real interesting.
It's interesting.
Do you guys think if it was someone else that she would have picked them up, or did she pick him up just because he was the author?
I feel like she seems like a nice, well, I was gonna say a nice person, but she sounds like a psycho. So
Yeah.
I think, I mean, she's talking about these animals like she cares for them. So I think she would care for others. I mean, if she is a nurse, which I thought that was just like, what's his name? Paul, just like losing his mind. He's like, oh, she's a nurse because she's taking care of me. But if she really was a nurse, then I mean, you have to care for others to do that. So I think if it wasn't him, I think she would have picked up someone. Obviously not to this crazy, like, you know, I feel like maybe she went a little more because it was him.
Like maybe someone else she would have actually taken to the hospital, but because it was Paul, she was like, let me get some narcotics.
Yeah, let me help him out on my house, and then I can get an insight on like stories and stuff instead of taking him to the hospital, and then I don't have access to him.
Makes sense, yeah. She seems kind of superstitious too, though, as well as religious, with how she was saying like, oh, it has to be 9 pages and two sets of 9 pages you burn individually or something. That was a little strange for me.
I had never heard that. I think 9s and 8, like, cause she said it was double. Did she mean double as in 99, like 18, or 99?
No, I think she meant like 2 sets of 9, so 18.
Yeah, okay. I've never heard of that number being lucky, or I don't know. I feel like it's always like 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder where that came from.
It's like from fairy tales and stuff. I'm not sure why exactly, but I think it's like 3 and 7 and 9 and 12. Like they come out a lot in like fables and folk stories, like the 12 Dancing Princesses. The I don't know. I'm blanking right now, but it comes out a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had never heard 9, so I was like, oh, I wonder why she likes this.
The Holy Trinity too, right? Like the, what is it called? Padre, Espíritu, and the something Santo. You know, when you say the prayer, and it's like God, the Son, and the Dove, or whatever.
Yeah.
3 times 3 will be the 9, and then stuff like that makes people like think those numbers are special.
I can see that.
I don't know my prayers anymore, man. That's crazy. Yes, I got my pen.
I will say, like, compared to the movie so far, it's a lot more psychological, and the movie is a little bit more like straightforward. So that's kind of the biggest difference I'm noticing so far. Otherwise, everything is kind of, the plot is the same, but you're getting this all like in his own head, so it's a lot more like confusing, I think. And like we were saying, we're like, wait, what's going on? It's like disorienting. And it's kind of weirder in a way, because he's like, he's like saying all these things that are like coming up in his head. So that's kind of interesting compared to the movie.
I'm excited to watch the movie after reading the book.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if it is any different, but so far it's like sticking to the main plot points at least. But yeah, it's just like all the stuff in his head is like, what is going on?
Oh, did you read The Shining?
No, and I haven't seen the movie either.
Oh, okay. Because
yeah,
the interesting thing was that for The Shining, the movie, like, I know it's a classic and people have seen it and they're like, oh my gosh, I love it. But for me, it was I had never seen the movie. I had never read the book. And then we read the book, and the book, I mean, it's obviously better, but it was completely like different.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if maybe the ending of this will be the same, or if it's going to be like The Shining where they just changed it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think this director of the movie, Rob Reiner, he's done other Stephen King adaptations, whereas The Shining was Stanley Kubrick, who kind of like likes to do his own thing, and he's like more, so I think maybe it might stick more faithfully to the book compared to The Shining, which I think was like, again, I haven't seen the movie, I've just heard that it's like maybe different. So
it's very different. Interesting.
I guess I'll plan to watch it. See what's up.
One last thing that I'm curious about that was mentioned in the section is he talks a few times about something like a pier and how the water is rising and covering the pier and then like receding, and it was somewhere that he went with his parents. I feel like he's kind of trying to say that he is the pier for some reason, but I don't know what the water means yet. I was thinking like maybe when the water's covering the pier, it's kind of when he's in bigger trouble, or things are cloudy or muddled for him because of the drugs. And then when the water is receding, it's kind of when he's thinking more clearly or bravely, because he said a brave man can think about how to get out of a situation. But I feel like that's gotta mean something. Maybe it relates to his childhood, like you were saying, Judith, like maybe that like the pier has something to do with the type of person he is now as an adult. Or the tide, it's the tide he keeps talking about too.
Yeah, like, is that a memory or is that just
I'm curious about it.
metaphor?
Yeah, because then there's another line that says he didn't want to or anger the moon, which brought the tide. So then I was like, oh, that means Annie's the moon, and the moon brings the tide. And when the tide's covering the pier, that means he's in trouble.
I did like that, and I didn't realize that he kept mentioning it, so it's probably something like meaningful in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that you mentioned right now the whole tide and the moon. I was like, you're right. I did see it more than once. Was he mentioning that when he was going through the pain? Like when
I don't remember when.
I can't remember because I'm just
Yeah, like the beginning, the very beginning.
okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll pay more attention to the tide thing. And
Yeah.
And that's when,
right?
like, he was talking about his parents too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot, I think I locked Albro outside.
I do want to know more about his parents.
The other thing that I thought was interesting too is on like the title page for my book. It's like part 1, Annie, and then it has a quote by Nietzsche, I think you say it, and it says, "When you look into the abyss also looks into you." And I was thinking about how both him and Annie are not likable people, so maybe in an abyss, I think it's supposed to be never ending, so maybe they're gonna just be stuck with each other. Maybe we won't find out what happens. They're just gonna be stuck forever because they're both an abyss to each other. I don't know.
I'm
That's
just
kind
like,
of weird.
something has to happen. We can't go on like this for 800 pages.
We might though. That's the crazy thing. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I think it might. We might just go like this for the rest of the book.
Oh my gosh, imagine.
I feel like it.
Isn't there a movie with Ryan Reynolds where he's trapped in a box and then the whole movie is like just him trying to get out of the box and you never see any other characters?
That
Or
sounds
you see very
awful.
few? I forgot what it's called, but I remember that movie was a trip to me when I saw it because I'm like, oh, it's very rare that you see like a movie where there's not any other characters and like it's not a change of scene. It's like he was trapped in this little
Was that like
spot.
a horror movie? I feel like that sounds really familiar.
Let me look it up. But it's making me think of this. Like Paul's never going to come out of that room possibly. So that might just be how the book plays out. Let me look up Ryan Reynolds' filmography.
Yeah, I don't have hope for him. I don't think he's getting out.
I kind of hope he does just because I think he shouldn't be there because it's really bad that he's there. But I don't think that he will either just because I'm a pessimist.
That's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, look, it's this one. It's called Buried.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wakes up buried
Is he
alive.
in a coffin?
Yeah, in an old wooden coffin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not
Ooh,
knowing
I
why.
remember that when that came out.
Yeah, it came out in
Terrible.
2010.
Yeah, that's a hard concept to sustain for an entire movie.
Ooh. And he has a cell phone?
I think you hear other voices like he tries to call people. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it, but
Wow.
his only chance is to escape with a mysterious cell phone. He has only 90 minutes to be rescued, which is pretty much like the length of the movie.
Well, at least it's not
Pretty
like
much
a 2.5
all the
hour movie.
Yeah.
True.
Duration 95 minutes.
That's good.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I feel like that means that the book definitely has to be more like mental, you know, because there's only so much that can happen in the room if that's how it's going to play out. Like it's going to depend a lot on the descriptions from Paul's perspective, I think. But I wonder if we'll get Annie's perspective. That would be very interesting.
Well, it looks like we're gonna read like what he writes.
Yeah,
Like
I
we're
was
kind of
looking
flipping
at
through it.
That's kind of like Verity then.
Yeah.
That's right. That's funny.
But I thought for Verity, because one of the twin girls, wasn't her name Chasten?
Mm-hmm.
And Misery Chastain. I don't know. The names just were very similar.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Good catch.
So I wonder if Colleen Hoover
Was
Wasn't
inspired.
inspo. Yeah.
Could be. There's some parallels.
Good eye. I can see that. Wow, I didn't realize how similar they were.
I don't think any of us would ever be naming any pet or child Verity or Misery anytime soon.
No.
That's true. She does name her pig Misery. What? Like, oh
my
God.
gosh.
Yeah, those. I'm not
Or
gonna.
Chasten for that matter.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't know about that.
It reminds me of like the names in Spanish. They're like Dolores or like what is another one like that's strange like Concepcion. For the Immaculate Conception, but I'm like, why name your child that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little, especially that last one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's one, oh, Candida. Candida. Yeast. Like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm a patient with that
Oh,
name.
Candida. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Did we think the section was an okay section, or do you want to go more? What did we think?
It was good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think that was good. Yeah.
Okay. So if we do 70-ish, we would do the next one would be 142, which is it's weird because now we're in between the book Misery's Return, which would be how do we do this? Let's see.
Oh, you guys were right. I see the changes in the font as I'm flipping through this.
Yeah. So we're in part 2 with Misery.
Mm-hmm.
Between that, it has its own little chapter. So we go all the way to chapter. So 6 is where Misery's Return. I don't know if you can see. That's where it starts, but we end in the chapter 6 of that one. So weird. So it's part 2, and we go down here because that's 142. I don't know if you want to read chapter 6, so like this part, or just end here.
Whichever you want works for me.
So we could end at chapter 5 of chapter 6 of part 2. I think I'm just gonna have to put a picture of the last like line right there of this thing, because this is just weird.
So read chapter 5 till chapter 5 of Misery's Return.
Yes.
Got it.
So the last thing they say is, tonight she would need it. Who knows if they're gonna say the chapters in the audiobook.
They have not. It's a good thing I have this PDF though, because
Yeah.
I'm just cross-referencing.
Wait,
Yeah.
you guys. Oh, wait.
What's up?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was muted. Okay, I'm looking. Now I have the book
Okay.
on my library app.
Okay.
So it's saying part 1, it's calling it Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to part 2 is Misery, and that's Misery's Return. And then after
Yeah.
that, it says part 3, Paul.
Yeah, I see that on my PDF also.
Huh.
Again, in the audiobook, none of this.
No. And
And
I
wait, part 4 is Goddess. What?
Yeah, I see that on here.
Part
too.
4 is Goddess. That's
Yeah, what is
interesting.
that?
who is Goddess?
But I don't know. That might be like maybe his next book. I'm looking ahead. I can't do that. Go back.
At the beginning of my book, there's just these 2 words, and I didn't know what it means. Goddess and then Africa. That was
At the
before the
beginning of
name.
your book?
This is at the very beginning. I look
Oh.
Goddess Africa, and then I think the page after is that quote I was telling you about. Because sometimes Stephen King puts like song lyrics and stuff in the beginning of his books. Yeah, and so I was like, what does that
see
mean?
it. I totally skipped it. Oh my god.
Yeah, you gotta check at the beginning. Sometimes he puts like
I
little
see
clues
it
in
on the
songs.
PDF thing. Goddess Africa.
Well, Africa is
Yeah.
the bird, right, that he was talking about at the zoo, but I didn't know what goddess
Yeah,
was.
it's
I'm
even
more-
on this thing. So.
I'm
Yeah.
more curious now.
Oh,
More curious.
wow. Stephen King is out here like masterminding stuff. That's wild.
It makes you he's wily.
I was over here skipping pages. Straight to like even the quote. I was like, should I read it? No, okay, I guess. I guess I have to read everything. So I'll still put a little like a picture of that last line. But read chapter 5 of Misery's Return, and that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, let's see where it takes us. And I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye. Have a
Bye,
good
Good
everyone.
night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye bye.